What's up everybody, this is Ripples in Wales, back for a third video today, and we're going to crank these out. I've just been looking at some of the Ripple Riddler's work this afternoon because I've had a day off, and I thought, right, whilst this is fresh in my mind, we're going to go and have a look at one of the most enigmatic and illustrative videos created by one of the Ripple Riddler, the only Ripple Riddler, beg your pardon. It's one of my favourites. It's the most complex. I don't know it entirely. I can't give you a full decode, but I can give you my thoughts and feelings around it. It's been out for a few years, but it's not heavily detailed. It's very open to interpretation on many levels. There are a few big things that jump out on it. It's not like the decodes that the Bearable guy gives you, in the Christmas scene, where it's incredibly, very, very detailed. You could really pick your way around it. Instead, the Ripple Riddler uses much more complex forms of cryptography in his hidden meanings, and they're buried under a lot of astrological meanings and big, I'd call them like big layers. There's not small things to pick off really, and therefore you only get a very general feeling. Compared to say the situation where we're in the fireplace now and it's littered with cryptographic clues. You don't get that in the Riddler's work. It's very, very complicated, and I believe that it was to filter out the people to really do the work to understand the riddles. And I find the Ripple Riddler's work very complex, very hard. Although I can tie it back to the Bearable guy's work I believe, with good success. And I use the two accounts to mirror it to where I think we're going and what I think is occurring. That is a big tip I can give you, because they do have a similar path and they run parallel to one another. Anyway, this is my Twitter account. Come say hi. I'm on there. I'm pretty active, and I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, and please smash the likes on this video. If you're watching it, doesn't cost anything, just smash the like. Drop a comment as well. Say hello. Always keen to hear from new people in the comments on the channel. I'm pretty active in it at the minute. Anyway, come and say hi. So, famous Ripple Riddler videos. Okay, the one I want to look at today is called XRP Born of Stars. And it's important when you're looking at these Riddler videos is to look at the first thumbnail. So much is given away by the thumbnail and the name. I didn't realise this till about 2 years ago when I started looking at things, and I was like, oh god, wow, I didn't think of that. And in this particular thumbnail we're looking at, XRP Born of Stars, we can see that there's a solar how would I put it? A sun with a clock of time stuck onto the front of it with an XRP logo, and we've got a Roman numerals clock on it. And in the background you've got like a solar flare occurring. And is it to depict a solar eclipse or the like? We don't know, but we have a few little clues. The name is the big giveaway in all this, because the name mirrors the thumbnail, and it says XRP Born of Stars. Now, there are only two stars in our little solar system. One is our sun, and the other's Venus, which is classed as the morning star, commonly known as Lucifer in old Roman times. And so we can depict that there's a strong astrological theme just by looking at the thumbnail. And we know that as it was 2020, 2022, Venus was going through a great transit, meeting Jupiter in the sky. I haven't pulled this up yet, but I remember going out into a very high destination in Wales, around 1,000 metres, and looking at the transit when the two planets came together in a conjunction, creating an X. I don't know if you remember that. Well, I'll see if we can Google it later on. But I often keep an eye on these astrological things, because the elites plan the changeover of financial eras to do with the hands of time in astrology, and the time is measured in an astrological sense. The old saying whereby millionaires use horoscopes and billionaires use astrological scopes. So I think I might have butchered that a little bit, but anyway, let's open up this video and have a watch. I'm going to let it play a little bit first through, and then we'll go back to it. Very, very clever. Very, very, very clever video. So, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, in the beginning we can see, first of all, let's turn the volume of this down. There's the Hubble telescope, okay, in the middle of a netscape of stars way beyond planet Earth, okay, and this was decoded by Sam to the lifeboat. So I'm just repeating some of the amazing things that I remember him saying. I haven't got any notes, so I'm going by memory. But he laid the foundation for this along with his community many moons ago. So all credit to Sam. This is the Hubble telescope, and it was designed to see things from a long way. It's an amazing photographic bit of equipment used for interstellar purposes. To get pictures of planets and formations in the stars. Anyway, it's on the background we've got, and I'll come back to the Morse code that's playing. That's a key point to this. Hold on. There we go. So we've got the Hubble space shuttle, the Hubble telescope, beg your pardon, sitting over planet Earth in the background with the Morse code. Now, if we think about a telescope, we've got a number of little clues that could potentially lead to something here. We've got Sam's decode on this was that it sees things from far away, so we've got to zoom out and see the bigger picture. And we're looking down on Earth here. It's a global view, okay? And the telescope sees things. I remember Sam saying, it's the looking at things from a bigger picture. That was the idea of the Hubble telescope, not to get too zoned into something. So it sees the bigger picture. But also we have connotations to do with SpaceX. And we know that there has been a fleet of satellites put up now in low interstellar orbit for 5G connections. And those 5G connections will operate the Internet of Value, the Internet of Things. They're not telling you this yet. But, there was early days, we kind of knew that there was some connection to do with this, with interstellar payments, especially with Stellar and Ripple. Payments, and cryptocurrency, as you know it, isn't mainly for humans. Of course, it enables banks to shuttle money around the planet. But digital currencies in the later years to come, mixed with AI, is payments for robotics. Okay, people don't really get this yet, is that we're moving to a robotics era with AI, and machines will pay taxes to governments. It sounds bizarre, I know, I totally get it, but it's happening, okay? And the robotics need payment systems. Governments will tax robots to get revenue. It's bonkers. And underlying that robotics nature that will help run some of the different kind of work skills on the planet. You have to have a 5G infrastructure, and the satellite constellations that SpaceX are laying that down is very important, as well as this a foundation on a digital level of a monetary nature. Okay, so and that scene there, where you've got this halo of planet Earth in the background, is very reminiscent of the Venus, the morning star photography that I've seen in the past. Anyway, you've got Morse code playing in the background, which, when interpreted and decoded, translates to the magic of thinking big. Now, that is an amazing book. I've read it, and you'll have a little bit of a laugh at this. Is that the author is David J. Schwartz. Now, I picked up on this back in 2018, and I messaged David and I said, listen, this is obviously no connection to your family. And he said no, but he said something about his brother. I can't remember what it was. But it isn't David Schwartz as we know it. But do you kind of see the genius in that? Morse code leading to a book name created by someone called David Schwartz, The Magic of Thinking Big. And, the book is all about thinking beyond your limitations. It's an amazing, amazing book. I would thoroughly recommend it. I read it many moons ago. But anyway, that's what the Morse code was referring to. Isn't that clever? We'll continue. Think interstellar currency. And he always uses this X with to be used in the middle. Such a genius move as well. See that? That's so clever. It's to be used. Right. We're straight into the storm. Okay, but the Riddler is at his piano playing a tune. And I want to bring to your attention the song, because the Riddler's on the piano, okay, and he's playing a tune, and the tune is of utmost importance. You've got to strip out the music in these situations, and the music is by David Facilian, and it's called Sad Souls, but the song is called Tears of Joy, okay, and it's all about, you see, these children. Now we know that there's been a big cleanup operation on the planet, and I'm probably going to go a little bit down a rabbit hole here. I'll try not to go too deep. We know that there's been a massive cleanup operation on the planet to do with human trafficking, and I don't know if it has anything to do with this, but I've got a funny feeling it has. I can also connect this to a lot of BG's early posts back in the days, which showed, I'll come to them another time, saying that Ripple wasn't kidding, pictures of children, to say that maybe this workaround was to stop a massive human trafficking ring on the planet. And we know this has been going on. This goes to every level. If you're unaware of this, sorry to break it to you, but I think humans are the most trafficked item on the planet, sadly. And it was more children of sorts, from what I gather. New movies out recently that, you know, Mel Gibson was, I think it was called The Sound of Freedom. Anyway, go and look it up. I'm not going to go too deep into this. So the song was called Tears of Joy, which is a happiness, sad souls, okay? But it's also referring to humanity who have been shackled by chains of bloody debt and by the system that enslaved them. You all know what I'm talking about. This is bigger than just money. This is bigger. This is about the freedom of humanity to transact without these oligarchies sitting. We've removed banks. Think of how amazing this is. We can transact wallet to wallet without no middleman now with DLT technology. So, you know, I'm not saying down with the banks, but what I'm saying is we've already circumvented them, which means humanity is going to raise up a level. The tide will rise. Anyway, the song is always important to listen to. It's called Sad Souls, Tears of Joy. But the Tears of Joy is the most important part. We're back into the storm. Okay, I'm going to let this part play through and I'm going to link you to this. Do you remember the storm and Trump? We'll come on to that in a minute. This was 2020, okay? Got a man playing a violin, playing the last song. We've got a digital grid going on in the background with, you know, the camera zoomed across the keys, almost like the rails. You know, Ripple talks about the new rails and plumbing of the planet, but I can't quite understand what the keys reference is on this. Maybe one of you will grab this. But the digital grid laying down of everything is important. The previous scene showed the Riddler playing a piano in a storm. Okay, it can be interpreted many ways. Are they, you know, they're still coding, they're still working in the storm, you know, or the Riddler, who is a character that is a mischievous deviant, you know, a genius deviant, is playing the old bankers at their own game. And we're going to just pause there for a second, and we're going to go and have a look at what we refer to as the storm. Do you remember this? This time when Donald Trump said? Okay, listen to this for a minute.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Boom! Do you hear that? You'll find out. Right, okay. This was the storm. They shut down the bloody planet for, you know, and it went into COVID lockdowns. And there was many reasons to this, as I'm sure you'll all know. I don't need to put my tinfoil hat on today, but you can get the understanding that the planet wasn't shut down for one reason, to do with the COVID variant necessarily. There was plenty of other things that were going on behind the scenes. I think there was many. We won't go too deep into that today, but there was a lot of stuff that changed, and a lot of bad actors maybe got removed. Let's leave it at that. But anyway, Trump was behind the storm. We can also go a little bit beyond that to look at. Remember this picture by Marvin Gaye, the Trump, and you've got the deep state, national emergency, dark Q. Do you remember the storm? Them referring to that. Yeah, that's where we're going with this. That was this part of the storm. Now we've got the Riddler above the clouds playing on a piano. Now there is a banner. I can't find it. I've already looked at David Schwartz showing his Twitter banner above the clouds, but the Riddler's playing above the storm. He's still playing his tune, and also, is he coding? You know, are they still kind of going ahead with the code above the storm? The digital grid's going down in the background. I don't understand the cipher, but it's snowing. Okay, in a second. See that? It's winter. Take note of that. Okay, he's above the clouds. There's a storm still going on underneath him, and it's winter time, but he's still playing the tune. He's still working away. Nothing has changed. They haven't gone away. And the digital grid is still being laid down. Now all of a sudden the digital grid is finished laying down, and now we've got clear starry skies with it's Jupiter. Saturn with its rings. Now bright starry skies. Do you remember the early Ripple Riddler pictures we looked at from the Hoddle picture, where we see bright starry skies, and we have the famous planet Saturn in the background. Super important. What about Saturn? Let's have a quick look at that. We're going to try and Saturn and its famous rings. Okay, I've got here. Saturn is known as the god of time and a planet of karma, discipline, and boundaries. I'm not going to go too deep into this right now. We'll do another deep dive in the future. But think about that, the god of time. And we've got XRP, a video, Born of Stars. The god of time. Right, very interesting, nonetheless. Okay, and he's the ruler of karma. What do you say there? It's the planet of karma, discipline, and boundaries. Karma's the interesting one, don't you think? Okay. Nothing says what I'm after there. No personal responsibility. No, we can leave that. Okay, and we'll continue. So it's still snowing. It's still winter. We've got Saturn out in the distance, and they're still kind of up there playing the tune. But the clear skies are the most important. We've gone from kind of like laying down the digital grid to clear skies ahead. Okay, and he's standing at the 6 o'clock mark with his arms wide open, showing the numerals of 4 and 8 respectively under each arm. The speed of the clock is going at 4 times the normal speed of a clock, and in the background we've got this clock face superimposed over a sun. Now I don't quite think I've cracked this by any means, whether it's a solar flare or if it's the grand solar awakening, and that we're talking about the grand solar cycle that we're in right now. But either way, the name of it's Born of Stars, so it has significance to either we know Bearable Guy has enormous riddle connotations with solstices and equinoxes. Solstices being the most important because you get the moon and the sun's connecting to perform very powerful astrological points in the season. In this, it's really interesting because the clock will do one complete revolution round and the Riddler disappears. Okay, and you'll see that now. And then it skips. Did you see that? Just watch the clock hands as they come past. We'll just play that again for you now. Watch this. Watch as the hour hand comes towards 12. Boom. You get this skip and the Riddler disappears. Now, that is like the change of guard. Like the kind of, almost like the reset, the skip in time. Again, I don't know all the answers to this. But, you infer from that what you will. But you see that skip, and Sam brought that to attention before. It's like, boom, a change in order, a change in energy, And skip in time is really interesting. Now, I picked up on something before on this, which was the chronos, which is the the primordial Greek god of time. Okay, and so there are a lot of gods and astrological connotations with this kind of scene. Let it play out quickly a little bit more now. Right, and so the X comes in almost fully when the arms are pointed at 3 and 9. Okay, and if we think about the connotations of 3 and 9 again, okay, first of all, one thing I want to kind of iterate is that when we talk about 3s, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3s, it's the center point of that is the reset. Yeah, so Bearable Guy's profiles are Bearable Guy 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1. And they're talking about a 6-year kind of window, and in the middle of that there's a reset. It's actually a kind of 7-year cycle, and the reset's longer than sometimes a year. Bo Pony talks about this in great detail to do biblical terms, which is highly fascinating, and I believe it's all correlated, heavily correlated. And so we have this 3-year window and in a year kind of transition, and I wonder whether we've done the 1, 2, 3s. 21, 22, 23. We're going into transition now with the storm, as I've talked, 3 till 9. What did I say? Or 9 till 3, whichever way you want to look at it. Whether it's half a year or a year, and then you'll see the uptick. And another interesting to think of is see how the X, the lower X is pointing down, okay, and it covers the first 1, 2, and 3. If we look at the kind of height grade, okay, and the X pointing upwards. It covers kind of the 4, 5, 6 in height. But they also cut off at different levels. There's something to think about, We have between 2022 and 2024, if we look at that. I know a lot of people are going to infer the symbology of the Masonic tools. I've forgotten the name of the actual tool that people refer to in there. It's one of the architectural tools. You'll know what I mean. Apologies. Anyway, the scene moves on. And then the sun disappears to leave a clear starry sky and the X symbol. And then just the X logo in the background. So there's a lot to infer from that. The Ripple Riddler is an interesting character. I won't go too much detail on him, other than that he was a genius at solving puzzles and riddles, and he left clues for all of his, for Batman and other people to try and solve. He was on the same level as Batman in terms of his intellectual curiosity and his problem-solving skills. So he was the top of the top. Anyway, it's important sometimes to look at the background of the Riddler as well. Another thing I mentioned before was it was the planetary aspect, okay, and Venus being the morning star, and I think we should also keep an eye on the astrological constellation positions and transits of 2023. There's nothing that I can find deliberately in here, or rather, that's unapologetically obvious that's going to cause anything. But Venus is the morning star, as people have seen, and it's connected to. Do you remember that time? Actually, there you go. So when Jupiter and Venus were connected, there we go. There's a time when they were two together, coming into conjunction, and that was a major thing. And I believe this had a lot to do with it. A little bit of Lucifer. Well, Lucifer is the Latin name for the morning star planet Venus, but also he's the fallen angel. If we have a look at here, Lucifer was the most beautiful and indescribable beings created by God, with his wisdom and beauty being described as perfect. He was worshipped by ancient people before the Adamic era as the Son of God and the Prince of Peace and the God-light and divinity. But I think he took a turn for the worse. Anyway, after Lucifer's fall, Lucifer's true form became pure darkness, as if in dense, expanding smoke. Interesting nonetheless. So, yeah, I was just doing some posts on David Schwartz earlier on. There's nothing to show really with that. But that is the famous Born of Stars riddle. And I know we didn't do a super deep dive on that. You can go and have a look at that anyway in your own time and see if it kind of some of it kind of fits with you. But there is massive astrological inclinations to do with that particular riddle. And by any means, I've got a funny feeling that the X's at the end have a strong strong meaning with the 3, 2, 1 and 1, 2, 3s. And I believe 2023 to 2026 will be very, very interesting. You can feel that we've turned the corner and we're going through the reset now, can't you? Well, at least I can anyway. With Ripple winning the lawsuit, things have turned. The tables have turned, haven't they? Anyhow, I hope that helps. I hope it's of use. I hope it's of value. Please smash the like button, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Be blessed.